At the downtown branch of Harborview Savings, a young bank clerk named Emily paused as she examined a check brought in by a man in his late 70s. The check's paper felt unusual under her fingers, and the routing number was unlike any she had seen before. "I'm sorry, sir," Emily said, her tone polite but edged with doubt. "This check doesn't look right. The numbers aren't standard, and the paper quality seems off. I can't process this here." The man, a retired Marine Corps Chief Warrant Officer named Jack Malone, exhaled slowly, feeling the familiar sting of frustration. Jack had spent a lifetime trusting rules and order, both on the battlefield and at home. This check was no ordinary slip of paper. It was a government-issued payout for years of backdated disability compensation tied to an injury from a covert mission decades earlier. "Emily," Jack said calmly, trying not to show his irritation, "this is a legitimate Treasury disbursement. It's my back pay for injuries sustained during service. I've waited long enough. This check is genuine." Emily remained unconvinced. Following the bank's strict protocol for suspicious items, she fed the check into the nearby industrial shredder, the machine swallowing it with a harsh mechanical whir. Jack could only watch in stunned silence as his hopes for fixing his creaky roof and finally visiting his grandchildren on the other side of the country turned to shredded paper. Before he could react further, the quiet calm of the bank was broken by the sudden entrance of a stern woman flanked by two sharply dressed agents. The woman's name was printed clearly on the very check Emily had destroyed. It was Caroline Reynolds, a high-ranking official from the Treasury Department's Inspector Division. Jack's small apartment was neat and orderly, filled with mementos from decades of disciplined service. His walls told stories of distant deserts and humid jungles, memories of a soldier who had been a linchpin in supply chains during some of the military's toughest campaigns. His retired life was quieter, but no less grounded in respect for rules and protocols. Today, he carried with him a document of deep significance, a government-issued Treasury check representing years of bureaucratic battles and delayed recognition. The amount was enough to finally do some repairs on his aging home and take a long-postponed trip to see family. Despite his hopes for a smooth transaction, the interaction at Harborview Savings went sideways the moment he handed the check over to Emily, a teller new enough to follow the letter of bank policy, but perhaps lacking the judgment to see beyond it. Emily, proud of her role as a diligent gatekeeper, ran the check through every test in her small toolkit. UV light scans, database searches, but nothing aligned with her training for legitimate government payments. "Sir," she said cautiously, "the routing number and paper type don't match our usual government checks. Are you absolutely sure this is real?" Jack's patience thinned, but didn't break. "It's a Treasury check from the Department of Veterans Affairs. My name and ID are on it," he insisted, sliding his veteran identification closer. Emily barely glanced at the ID. "We get a lot of fake checks. Bank policy says we can't process suspicious ones. For large amounts, if there's doubt, we have to stop and secure the check." Before Jack could ask to speak with his supervisor or call the Treasury verification line he knew by heart, Emily did something that froze him. She inserted the check into the shredder. The machine devoured it, and with that, Jack's financial lifeline disappeared into confetti. "You shredded a government check?" Jack managed, voice tight with disbelief. Emily's expression didn't falter. "Bank rules. If it's suspicious, we destroy it to prevent fraud." The aftermath was immediate. Other customers looked on as Jack's disbelief turned into cold fury, a fire he hadn't felt since active duty. The branch manager, a man named Mr. Collins, soon arrived, drawn by the rising tension. Jack knew debating the manager or Emily would lead nowhere. He needed help from higher up, far above the branch's small hierarchy. Stepping outside into the sunlight, Jack pulled out a battered phone and dialed a number given to him years ago by a former commander, now a senior official in the Treasury Department. Some problems, the commander had told him, can only be solved at the top. The call connected immediately to the office of the Undersecretary for Financial Oversight. Jack introduced himself clearly and explained the situation. A valid Treasury check had been destroyed by a bank employee, an act that was not only reckless, but possibly illegal. "Stay where you are," the undersecretary ordered, his tone sharp and resolute. "This is serious. The regional audit director and Treasury investigators are on their way." Within minutes, two unmarked black cars arrived. Agents in dark suits moved inside swiftly, their presence commanding respect and unease. Inside, Emily was confronted by Special Agent Blake from the Office of the Controller and Agent Ramirez from the Treasury Inspector General's office. The agents launched an immediate audit. Emily's confident facade crumbled under questioning. She admitted she hadn't followed the full bank procedures, skipping key verification steps and acting on intuition rather than policy. Mr. Collins, the branch manager, struggled to answer questions about staff training and oversight. His reassurances fell hollow as agents made clear this was now a federal inquiry. Jack watched from outside as the bank's power dynamic shifted dramatically. The institution that had dismissed him so casually was now under the scrutiny of federal authorities, all because one teller's poor judgment had destroyed a veteran's rightful payment. Later, the undersecretary called Jack back with news. The replacement check was already being electronically transferred, with all fees waived. Emily was suspended immediately, likely facing termination, and the branch manager was under review. "This is more than you deserved," the undersecretary told Jack. "You serve your country for decades. The least they can do is make sure their bank employees don't shred your pension." Jack stayed on the bench a while longer, watching agents escort Emily out and the bank's corporate officials enter, their faces tight with concern. The quiet man who had been dismissed so easily had, in the end, triggered swift justice. Sometimes true power isn't loud or obvious. It flows through unexpected channels, the old contacts, the unassuming veterans who know where to push for help. Because when you destroy a veteran's lifeline, you might just tear down your own credibility with people who take those matters very seriously indeed. Jack's ordeal at Harborview Savings is a powerful reminder that respect and accountability are not just ideals but necessities, especially when dealing with those who have sacrificed so much. His story shows how one person's rigid adherence to policy, without understanding or empathy, can cause real harm, but also how determined action and the right connections can turn the tide. True authority often works quietly behind the scenes, ensuring justice and fairness prevail even when it seems like the system is failing. This episode highlights the importance of vigilance, not only on the part of institutions but within ourselves. It's a call to question procedures blindly followed and to advocate for those who might otherwise be overlooked or dismissed. Jack's fight wasn't just about a check. It was about dignity, recognition, and the promise that a nation owes its veterans more than empty words. In the end, his persistence reminded everyone involved that respect for service isn't optional. It's a sacred duty. As citizens, we all share responsibility for protecting the rights and benefits of those who served, ensuring they receive the honor they deserve without unnecessary obstacles or humiliation. Jack's story stands as both caution and inspiration, a testament to the power of standing firm and demanding justice when it matters most.